What is up, everybody? That was loud. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, Mystic Watch. And today we got a brand new video going over all the Blazing Bash units ranked from worst to best, in my opinion. And I'm going to be going over fully duped and non-duped, okay? So, let's crank up the Haikyuu soundtrack. And then, yeah, let's get into it. So, to begin with, we'll start off non-duped. So no dupes in any character, and I'll be ranking them from number 8 to number 1, right? And there's a difference while duped and non-duped, but there's not too much of a difference. It doesn't change too much. That's why I'm able to do them both within a single video. Now, starting off non-duped, we're going with number 8, going to be Naruto Uzumaki, Power of Determination. We pull him up over here. So this Naruto is number 8 on the list. Now, the problem with the Blazing Bash units is that they are all really good, and there's not too much separating them, right? So, I mean, there's a big difference between Naruto and the number 1, but in general, once you start getting higher up, it's like the gap between, especially in the middle, it's so hard to rank the ones in the middle. So I could have my own opinion, you know, it's like, and people can be wrong or whatever. Like, I can be wrong. There's no really, like, correct answer. This is just from my experience from playing PvP for hundreds of games and how I would rate everyone, right? So I talked it over with Kabuki as well, and this is what we think, you know, how the list would go. And with that being said, if you guys disagree, feel free to leave your list down below, but don't be attacking people for what other people think are the, you know, what their opinion is. So that's all I can say. Now, starting off, what makes him number 8? What makes him the worst, I would say? Now, the thing is, he is a skill unit, which automatically makes him a little bit lower than average, right? Because people like Hashirama and Lee exist. Being close to one-shottable, right, makes this guy pretty much unreliable in PvP. His, you know, that's mostly the big thing, right? People tend to leave him either in the first slot or third slot, but in the top row. Now, what ends up happening is that he will always get hit with the jutsu. And this is what I told Kabuki, I told everyone else, when my reasoning for having him this low is that whenever you lose with, like, OT, like one-tail Naruto on your team, usually, like, 9 out of 10 times, one-tail Naruto will be one of the dead units. Like, one of the units that caused you to lose. So he tends to die very easily, even while being tanky. Like, let me set it to this, right? He has almost 40k HP, but the problem is that Lee does about 28k, I think? No, in the general area, I think it's between 25 and 28k. And then Hashirama does about 30,000, right? With type effectiveness, of course. And then already, this guy's almost dead, right? Any other jutsu will kill him off right after that. So keep that in mind. The other thing is that since he's 5 chakra, he doesn't get his jutsu right away. Meaning he has to wait a full rotation, and it can screw you over. Because almost everyone else, besides like Gaara, is a 4 chakra user jutsu. Or less. Like Neji, right? So being 5 chakra limits him. He does, his plus side is that he can one-shot like CM2 Sasuke. He cannot one-shot Neji. You would need an additional hit or an attack boost, but he cannot one-shot Neji. That's really it. That's the problem, right? So what you pay, like putting him on your team, is more of a negative than what you get out of it. Of course, if you don't have, like, he's still better than, like, Blazing Fest units, right? So Blazing Bash units are, like, in their own little tier above Blazing Fest units. So he's the worst of the best units, put it that way. Now, moving forward, and because the thing is, I don't need to explain anything about ultimate jutsus in here, right? Like, we don't use ultimate jutsus in PvP. The other thing I should note is that 80% chance to block them from switching, and it pulls them closer. The switch seal is nice, but usually when you use them, you don't use it for the switch seal. It's usually to kill off their CM2 or Neji. And that's really it. So I don't think he's as good as the rest, and we'll move on and see why. At number 2, or number 7 technically, at number 7 we have CM2 Sasuke. Why is he this low? Simply because he's fallen off. He's too squishy. Alright, I'll try to not spend as much time on everything. He's too squishy with his PvP stats not being listed here, which is why I have Nox open. Oh, okay. So, here we go. Being 28,000, he's very squishy, one-shottable, you know, OT Naruto, but that's not the biggest thing, is that he dies to a lot of jutsu, since you have Gaara's and Hinata's running around, right? And Neji's as well. There's a lot of people that can do damage to him, and his being body doesn't do much for him, right? You don't choose him for the damage. He doesn't do almost any damage, right? When it comes to his jutsu, 5.2 times attack, he does about 13 to 14,000 damage, or close to like 18 or 19, about 20k with type effectiveness, and that's just not enough. AoE, even AoE, that's just not enough, right? So that's 4 chakra. His benefit is that he can chakra seal, and he can push people into chakra pools very easily. Now, how good is that? Chakra sealing has fallen off. Because people like Neji exist, because people like Lee exist, you can generate a chakra very fast and guarantee all your people in your top row a jutsu. So that even if they get chakra sealed by CM2 Sasuke, they already have a jutsu available to use. Which is why this guy is at number 7. So, the other thing to note is his speed. You know, he's just not that fast. And this is, you know, we're talking about with 30 speed from, this is my character with 30, plus 30 speed. Normally he's at 204, so he is not that fast. At number, what number is this? 6. At number 6, we have Neji. Neji Hyuga. So I'll pull him up on here as well. Now, why is Neji this low? Neji is really strong. It mostly comes down to, without his dupes, he's not as good, because with his dupes, he becomes a monster, right? Plus 40 speed from dupes is a big difference, because his base speed is only 180, I believe. Right, 183. So 183 is not fast. It is too slow, and he does good damage. Pretty much is that he does good damage, right? Doing 17k base or 25-ish to hurt units, making him really good against Hashi and Lee. And he 70% chance of speed reduction for 4 seconds, which is a 10% speed reduction. So if you don't even go for those units and you hit anyone, to be honest, you know, they're losing at least 20 speed, right? And if you hit someone over 300 speed, they're losing 30 to 40 speed, somewhere in between. So he does have good utility, but mostly it's also very easy to get his ultimate jutsu. Generating 6 chakra is not hard at all. His mid-range AoE and his damage is nuts. That's kind of why he's number 6, right? His speed is what holds him down without the dupes. Number 5 is Gaara, Bravery Gaara. So let's move out of here. Go to number 5. Now, Bravery Gaara is, without dupes, a one-shottable by Hinata speed lead, right? Now, the thing is, it's still better than everyone else because he's the fastest Blazing Bash unit in the game. With that also being said, he does very good damage. He does 18, I believe almost 19k base damage, neutral damage, with 60% chance of... What is this? I'm pretty sure this is wrong. Oh, yeah. There we go. 6% chance of switch sealing for 7 turns, right? And it's 10 times attack. So he can almost one-shot Hinata, which is something that's really nice about him, right? Like I said, highest speed in the game. That's really all you need. The fact that people run Phantom Castle Naruto, people still run OG Gaara, is simply due to their speed. Now when you mix that in with a character that can actually do something, it makes him very strong, putting him at number 5. Number 4, and a lot of people are gonna disagree with this, and that's perfectly okay, is Madara Uchiha. A lot of people don't think Madara is that good. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention with Gaara while I'm still on here is that his field and buddy skill are top tier, right? Now, the only issue ends up being is that Gaara dies very quick, right? So now this is where this comes into play with Madara. So if you take a look at Madara Uchiha is not a damage dealer. You do not run him to deal damage. You run him as a support to mitigate damage. When you run Madara, he's essentially gained 20% health on your on the unit above him. Alright, you run him under Hinata, you run him under Hashirama, because those units are fast and can use the damage reduction. You can even run him underneath Gaara, to be honest. Now, because he has the same exact field and buddy skill. Now, when it comes to everything else, 30k health, so he has more health than, he's about 5k more health than Gaara, which is really important. He has a lot of damage, and his jutsu is where he really shines. So, you run him in the back row to prevent damage, right? Now, what happens when you bring him out front, his jutsu does 14k neutral damage AoE. It goes along, it's about a third of the height of the map, or like the screen, and it covers the entire screen, like from left to right. When you use his jutsu, right, what ends up happening is that he takes no damage from jutsus for 3 turns. Now, why is that good? It's simply because of his ability right here. His field skill ends up becoming extremely better. Now, the reason Gaara isn't as good in this situation is because when you group up with Gaara, right, since Gaara is so squishy, people will take that as an advantage to use their AoE on Gaara plus whoever else. And you end up taking way more damage than you should have. Now, when you use Madara, what you can do is you can use his jutsu and literally stick him next to anyone, right? And that person has a guaranteed 20% damage reduction because Madara will not get hit. On top of that, Madara dodges the jutsu, so what ends up happening is that they don't get the combo. So they can't get an ultra combo using Madara, right? Madara generates no hits. So there's no downside to grouping Madara with the teammate. And Madara ends up living long enough for that so that like by the time he comes back, he's taking no damage. So that's pretty much why he's this high. He does good damage. He pretty much chunks out Neji's and CM2s. His AoE half the screen, and his damage reduction is nuts, right? On top of being immune to damage. So that's why Madara is at number 4. Number 3, we have Rock Lee. And Rock Lee is really good for 2 reasons, right? You don't need to go too much into details about him. Is that he has a 4 chakra guaranteed ultra combo by himself. That's broken. That's literally it, right? The other thing is that he boosts his own speed by 20% for 5 seconds, which is enough to stack on itself. So you can usually get his jutsu off twice every now and then. If you generate chakra here, pick up a bottle there. And usually after 2 jutsus, he's already rocking like 300 speed at that point. With dupes, like I said, this is supposed to be without dupes, but I'm just letting you guys know. With dupes, what is second, if you use his normal jutsu twice, he has over 340 speed. So that's just something to keep in mind. He does good damage. And yeah, buddy and field skill are good. Attack ups are always nice. It's a solid thing. And that's really it. Being able to generate chakra is broken. You will see Lee on every single team that exists in us. They're running 60 Natas. You'll normally see a Lee on there. And the reason is just because generating the chakra is too good in this meta, right? Like I said, it pretty much counters CM2s, it counters Hinatas, their chakra ceiling. And it's just like a way to generate more jutsus, right? The more chakra you have, the more jutsus you can pull off. So that's really it, right? He deserves the number 3 spot for that. Going on to number 2, we have Hashirama Senju. And with that being said, you guys already know who's number 1 is. But why is Hashirama this high up? Long story short, his jutsu is broken. Right? Being able to force swap someone is dumb, on top of the fact that they can't switch back. That's really it. Don't need to go into more details about that. He is fast, even without this dupe. He has 265 speed, I think. Pretty sure. Yeah. 265 speed base, 31k health. and his damage is dumb. This guy does like Yamato level damage, right? 20k neutral damage. That is absolutely dumb. Right, nothing else to it. So what, like, that's enough to merit Hashirama at number 2. And number 1 is, of course, the cancer of PvP, the only unit you see duplicates of. 6 Hinatas. There you have it. Way too fast, way too much health, and on top of that, she has decent damage and can chakra seal, and or health recovery, which no one cares about, for a 60% chance. So that's really it for that. Oh man, it's already 15 minutes. Okay, so we're not gonna do the dupes. It's gonna push this video over 20 minutes. But yeah, I did it kind of uneven. Like I spent more time talking about other units than I did than some others, but it's mostly to like kind of just explain why some people were at some spots. So hopefully you guys understand. If you guys like the video, let me know. Hinata's cancer. There you have it. If there's anything else you want to see, if you guys want to see what the duped list looks like, let me know down below. Leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button for more content like this. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all next time. Peace out.